Sometimes the media makes my job too easy on me, especially when it comes to the low IQ composers of propaganda who work for the aptly named Deadspin. No other media outlet has a name that truly encompasses what they do like Deadspin. Deadspin is literally on the brink of death, and the site, they put a spin on damn near every story to make it fit their woke narrative. We haven't talked about our boy Carron Phillips in quite a while now. We've added a lot of new subscribers since then, so I'll give you guys a little bit of a background into Carron Phillips. He is a graduate of Woke U. He graduated magna cum laude in 2016 with a bachelor's degree in race-based victimization and a minor in psychology of the woke hug. One of his favorite professors was Bomani Jones, as I'll show you here in just a second. Poor Carron. I actually found out this morning. I have been mispronouncing his name this entire time. His pinned tweet on Twitter features him accurately pronouncing his name. The problem is, I just don't give a fuck how it's pronounced. So you are still Carron to me. Just be thankful I don't call you Karen instead. Many people don't know this, but Carron Phillips was one of 4 writers at Deadspin responsible for burying the Rachel Nichols Maria Taylor story. They were given copies of the recorded audio in Rachel Nichols' hotel room 12 months before it was released to the New York Times. They even published an article about it in July 2020. In the article, they refused to publish the audio. They also refused to transcribe it for their readers. At the time, they said, "Nothing in the audio proves Rachel Nichols is a backstabber. We are tired of this narrative that women in media are backstabbers. We must protect our woke sisters." Of course, 1 year later, that tune completely changed. Rachel Nichols learned the lesson that the woke always turn on the woke. We are less than a year away from the kickoff to the XFL 3.0 season. If I'm not mistaken, I believe their regular season begins in February, a week or two after the Super Bowl. We briefly discussed the NFL last weekend when the Purple Dragon Megan Rapinoe tried using the league to bring media attention to herself. Unfortunately for Meg, she only lasted about 24 hours in the news cycle until she was once again forgotten. She then returned to playing in front of hundreds of people in the NWSL in games that you can't even find broadcast on the internet. If you're a sports writer and you have the return of the XFL, there are a wide variety of angles that you can take. You could talk about The Rock being swindled by Vince McMahon and paying $15 million for a football league that's not worth $15. You could talk about the likelihood of the XFL failing for a 3rd time. That saying, 3rd time's the charm, doesn't apply with the XFL. Like I said last week, there's not a need in the marketplace for minor league football. We already have the best version of minor league football. It's called college football. With the addition of NIL and the transfer portal, college football has kind of officially become the minor league feeder system to the NFL. Unlike the NFL, the XFL allows players to enter the league at 18. If you're an 18, 19-year-old potential NFL prospect and you have the opportunity to play at Notre Dame or the XFL, which opportunity are you taking? Average salary in the XFL is $55 grand a year. College players can easily make that money in endorsements, but it's not about the money here, or it's not all about the money, I should say. Where are you more likely to get noticed? Notre Dame is watched by millions of people every week. Every game is nationally televised. The XFL, they'll be lucky to average 1 million viewers per game. But you get my point, though. There are plenty of topics that you can cover when talking about the XFL. Let's get back to Carron Phillips. Which angle do you think he took? I'll give you a little bit of help. I'll give you some hints. Let's review some of his most recent propaganda. Earlier this week, he published some bullshit claiming Tony Dungy allows himself to be used by bigots. Of course, he's talking about Ron DeSantis, who signed a bill in Florida aimed at helping children and fathers. Oh, what a fucking bigot. How dare the evil white man try to help black fathers and black children. Carron Phillips, He also turned on his woke brother Adam Schefter, claiming Adam Schefter reduced the life of Dwayne Haskins to his failed NFL career. When Pete Carroll tried to be woke, calling out NFL owners for not hiring enough black head coaches, instead of Carron Phillips applauding Pete Carroll for helping their false narrative, he said Pete Carroll should blame himself. Did I miss the memo? I must have missed the news when Pete Carroll bought the Seahawks from Jody Allen. Now, as you can see, Carron Phillips is not only a complete shitfuck, he also shares an IQ with Stephen A. Smith. With the recent articles that I just shared with you, what angle do you think he took when talking about the XFL? The XFL has more black head coaches than the NFL already. Headline over at the cemetery. The XFL having more black head coaches than the NFL is why Brian Flores is suing the league. He starts off by saying the XFL hasn't even begun, and they've already proven NFL owners to be liars. Now, as I've told you guys before, the way to see more black head coaches in the NFL is to have more black offensive coordinators. It's not only me that says that. NFL owners, NFL general managers say the same thing. I mean, it makes sense. This is a league built around offense. The most important relationship in all of sports is the relationship between head coach and quarterback. So if you're an NFL owner or GM and you're hiring a head coach, you're going to look for someone with a strong offensive mind. When the majority of those candidates are white, naturally, you're going to have more white head coaches in the league. But that kind of logic doesn't fit the woke narrative. Virgins like Carron Phillips, they believe the way to get more black men hired in the NFL is to constantly call the league racist. Yeah, how's that working out for you? Ron borrowed a dissertation from his favorite professor at Woke U, Bomani Jones. Here we go again with Bobo. I don't know about you guys, but when I need a solution for racial issues in America, I always think of Bomani Jones. He's so smart. He's such an intellectual. Bobo has a way of saying a lot of words without saying a fucking thing at all. Carron Phillips and Bomani Jones have something in common. Besides being linked through Woke U, they're both huge embarrassing failures. Now, with that being said, Carron Phillips is not on the level of Bomani Jones. No one does failure like Bomani Jones. On a recent episode of his podcast that no one listens to, Bobo was talking about the NFL pipeline for head coaches. Now, I want you guys to do me a favor. Get out your woke bullshit meters. Make sure the battery is fully charged. You're going to need the woke bullshit meter 2.0 for this one. The original version, not going to be able to handle this level of bullshit. Are you ready? Here we go.
It ain't our fault. You're not going to be like, yo, we just don't know who the black people are. You put the black people in front of them, and they still not going to give them jobs. It's going to wind up being something else. But the we need a pipeline implies that somehow the black people who coach are literally invisible, and that you yourself are not capable of seeing a black person and recognizing their capabilities. And if that's the case, say it. But when you say we need a pipeline, that is in effect what you're telling me. Because if that's not what you're telling me, then why do you need a pipeline? You should be able to see it yourself and be like, I don't understand. I see good black coaches all the time. Why can't you figure this out?
And that's when I get frustrated. You got me back to where I was last night. Because then what's the answer? Then what's the answer?
Well, let me ask this. I think we need
changing hearts and minds.
No, but I think we need to start doing this when people start talking about we need to come up with a pipeline. Because to me, NFL got one pipeline. There's only one coaching pipeline in the NFL. Nepotism. Like, that's the pipeline, if there is one, is nepotism. And the numbers bear it out.
First of all, here we go with this nepotism again. Here we go with Bobo trying to relate to white people by saying that we are victims of NFL hiring practices too. Let's be friends, guys. He claims the numbers prove nepotism. And then he fails to explain what fucking numbers he's talking about. Poor Dommy Foxworth, he's so fucking confused. He asked Bobo for a solution to the hiring problem in the NFL, then he's forced to listen to 2 minutes of drivel from the ass of Bomani Jones, who once again says a lot without saying anything at all. Let's go ahead and bust through this false narrative again that the XFL has proven NFL owners to be liars. Carron Phillips, Bomani Jones, they both claim the XFL hiring 4 black head coaches proves the pipeline narrative in the NFL to be false. If anything, it proves it to be true. Of the 8 coaches hired in the XFL, none of them are qualified to be an NFL head coach. Wade Phillips is 74 years old. Jim Haslett, he's 66. Only 2 winning seasons in 7 years as an NFL head coach. But let's get to the 4 black XFL coaches, since that's what they want to talk about. Hines Ward, 1 year as an offensive assistant with the Jets. Terrell Buckley, no coaching experience at the NFL level. Hell, Terrell Buckley, he doesn't have head coaching experience, period. He's never even been a fucking coordinator at the college level. Reggie Barlow, no NFL coaching experience. The most qualified of the 4 is Rod Woodson, and he hasn't coached in the NFL since 2017 when he was the cornerbacks coach in Oakland. Now you tell me, which of these guys would be qualified to be an NFL head coach? Carron Phillips claims the XFL was able to find 4 black head coaches, so the NFL should be able to do the same. I mean, it's just so easy to do this. And on the surface, this seems like a valid point. But you have to have the ability to critically think, which social justice warriors cannot do. If you can critically think, you understand that this is not even close to a fair comparison. If you're applying for a job, do you have a better chance being hired as the manager of McDonald's or the CEO of Google? Now, it's a little bit of an exaggeration, but it's not far from comparing an NFL head coach to an XFL head coach. The bar is significantly lower for being hired in the XFL than it is in the NFL. The margin of error in the NFL is razor thin. The difference between the best team in the league and the worst team in the league, in most cases, is 1 or 2 plays a game. It's not like that in any other league. In the NBA, the Phoenix Suns are miles ahead of the Houston Rockets. In the NFL, the Rams are not much better than the Detroit Lions. Many times in the NFL, the difference between the best and worst teams comes down to 2 positions: coach, quarterback. So it's critical. It is critical you hire the right head coach. Has nothing to do with race, nothing to do with demographics, nothing to do with pleasing shit fucks like Bomani Jones and Carron Phillips. Does the coach fit our culture? Do we share the same vision? Can he help us win? Can he lead? Does he relate and get along with our quarterback? Yes, 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 and yes. Okay, fucking hire the guy. It is a hell of a lot easier to hire coaches when the qualifications in the market are lowered. If you have Sean Payton and Bill Belichick vying for the same job, who are you going to hire? Pete Carroll, Sean McVay, Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid. We are talking about the elite of the elite, the best of the best. The decision is a lot more difficult. Now contrast that with the XFL. Hines Ward or Jim Haslett. Wade Phillips or Rod Woodson. The decision's a hell of a lot easier. Who do we like more? I had fun drinking beer with Rod Woodson. Let's hire him. Like I said, you want to see more black head coaches in the NFL? Hire more black offensive coordinators. It's that simple. This is not a racial issue. It's a qualifications issue. But let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on Carron Phillips comparing hiring in the XFL to the NFL and relying on the world's loneliest shitfuck, Bobo Jones, to prove his point or try to prove his point. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.